Hello and welcome to Katrina's Creations. This is our Friday edition, and today it is going to be a knitting tutorial and a little information as well. We are going to be talking about colorwork sweaters and how to do them. They can look very complicated, but they actually aren't, and I'm going to show you the technique I use to do them. But before we get started, I am going to talk about different terms that you hear about when referring to colorwork. So a colorwork project, or sweater in my case, is any project that involves more than one color. So this one is a 2-color sweater. So it is referred to as colorwork. Now, there's other terms that sometimes you will hear used, which is stranded knitting, and you'll hear fair isle. So what is the difference? All of those are colorwork. They all involve more than one color. And stranded is what this would be. It means you are carrying yarn. As you can see, I have a dark black here, and there's white in between. So you are literally going to be carrying that black thread across, or stranding it from one to the next spot. So that is what stranded knitting is, and that's the one we're going to talk about. I'm going to show you a technique for. The other is fair isle. Now, fair isle is also stranded, but stranded is not necessarily fair isle. Fair isle is the same process. It is carrying 2 colors or more across a row at the same time. However, fair isle involves specific motif. Well, there's two different definitions of fair isle. One could be you only have a fair isle sweater if it is purchased or made in the Shetland Islands, which is where fair isle sweaters originate from. However, I've knitted a fair isle sweater before, and it refers also in another terminology for fair isle is the specific motifs that are used for those type of sweaters that are made in the Shetland Islands. So stranded is this. Fair isle is also stranded, but stranded is not necessarily fair isle. So I hope that's clear. So I'm going to turn the camera around and we're going to talk about how to do stranded knitting, which will also work for fair isle as well. But I'm going to show you a technique that I do so that my strands in the back of my sweaters are not really carried that long, so that they don't snag on things. And it also keeps things from puckering. So I'm going to get the camera turned around and I'll show you what I'm doing. So here is the project I'm working on, and as you can see, I am doing 2 colors at once. I have stitches in between here of white and black. So both yarns are coming in within the same row. You can see here they are. And then we're going to look at the back. Now if you notice, there are large spaces between this black stitch and this black stitch. So that black yarn in the back of the sweater is carried all the way across the back. But if you have just an open strand of yarn carrying all the way across there, it's very easy for the tension to get pulled too tight like this. It's also very easy if you're putting it on to get snagged in this. So how do I do this? And how do you do color work? So we're going to hopefully eliminate some of the confusion. The first thing you're going to do when you start looking at the row you are working on, and this can vary from row to row, you're going to see which color is your predominant color for that row. In this case, it is white. You can tell looking at it, I have a lot more white stitches than I do black ones. So if I am an English knitter, which means I normally knit with my yarn coming in on my right hand, I want to have the white yarn on my right side. If I am normally a continental knitter, which means I knit normally carrying the yarn in my left hand, then that predominant color is going to be on my left. So I am an English knitter, so my yarn is going to be coming in on the right side. So here I've tried to separate the yarn so you can really see well what I'm doing. So the color that that is not my predominant yarn is going to be on the left. Like I said, if you are a continental knitter, you're going to reverse these. So I'm going to hold my yarn, my predominant one in my right, the other in my left. You want to make sure you keep your tension pretty even here. You don't want one side to pull tighter than the other. So you can see I have 4 stitches here before this black, but I'm going to be carrying the black all the way across the back. I don't want a big, long, open strand. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do my first stitch, and here it is. You can see here's my black yarn. I'm going to do a normal knit stitch. The next stitch, I'm going to take this yarn here, and my white is going to wrap around the back of it. I'm still doing a knit stitch. I'm just catching that strand of black as I go through. The next stitch, you can see here's the black yarn. It's now caught in between this. I'm going to do a regular knit stitch, but as you can see, I'm catching that black yarn in between the white. So here's this next white stitch. Here is that black yarn. I'm going to wrap around so it's catching it again. So I've gone those 4 stitches, but as you can see, there's not a long strand in between. Now I'm ready to do the black stitch. I'm going to do this as if I was a continental knitter. So I'm going to pick it up, just do it as a regular stitch. And now we're back to the white again. So we're going to go here. There is my black yarn. We're just going to do this as a regular knit stitch. The next knit stitch, I'm just going to go behind the black yarn. The next stitch, the white will be going in front of the black. And the next one will go behind. Then we're back to a black stitch again. And if you look at some of these, we're going to look at some of these carries down here. You can see by doing this, I don't have long what they call floats. There's a couple here, but on the whole, I don't have any long carries in here. My work is also not puckering in between, because sometimes if you had your tension wrong and you're not incorporating that strand as you go along, you might get a pucker right in here, and you don't want that. So what happens if you are knitting and it's even for your 2 colors? Then what do you do? If you are working with this color, you can actually, I'm going to be going out a pattern for this for a few minutes so you can see what I would be doing. But let's say we have even black and white. So we've done a black stitch, and then I take my white yarn, wrap it around, then wrap around the black, and then pull the white back out, and it is caught it this way. So again, we would do black stitch. Now here we go. I'll show you once again what I'm doing. I'll hold the needles like this. So I'm wrapping around between the needles. I'm doing the same with the black yarn, but then I'm pulling the white one back out. It is literally caught by the black yarn at this point. I pull it up. See, you can see it right here. It's all incorporated. So I'll do that a couple more times so you can see. So if I have a black stitch or any other color yarn, it would be whatever your contrasting color. So the next stitch, I would bring the other color around, then the other color, take that one back, and just go ahead and knit. Do it one more time. Goes around and around, and then pull that one back out again. And you can see it is caught between the contrasting yarn. So that way you've gone all the way across here, but if you look at the back, I don't have any long strands running across the back for your fingers to get snagged in or your clothing to snag, anything like that. So that is how I do my stranded knitting, and I found it works well, and I hope that has been helpful to you. If it has, please give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and I will see you again in the next video. Thanks for watching.